Hello and welcome to the magic that is Anki app. So in this video I'm going to explain to you why Anki app is the thing that you need, and then I'm going to show you how to use Anki app in quite a lot of detail, but enough to make it useful. So let's start with who Anki app is for, and the answer is anybody that's got lots of stuff to learn. So we know that the magic of spaced repetition is the way to learn lots of complicated things, and it's the way that's used by anybody that's got a lot to do. And if you're studying biology, you've got a lot to learn. So this is a picture of the glossary from one of the A-level textbooks. It's just words after words after words, isn't it? And there has to be some way of making it easier, and there is some way of making it easier, and the way of making it easier is Anki app. So you know you've got a lot to learn, and you know you've got a small amount of time available to learn it in. So one of the other beauties of Anki app is you can just do it on the go. You can download it onto your phone, and if you're sitting waiting for a bus, you can do 10 minutes of Anki app. And it's one of these, a small amount every day is the way to make it work. So whether you're waiting for a bus, or you're waiting for your mates, or you're sitting having your lunch, or whatever it is, you can get 10 minutes of Anki app done dead easy. You're on the bus on the way into college, you can do 20 minutes of Anki app. Easy, easy. Of course, you don't need to use Anki app to be able to do spaced repetition. You can do it with flashcards, but what it means is you've got to carry around a staggering pile of flashcards. So I had a student a few years ago who, by the end of the year, had, I think, over 1,000 flashcards, which clearly you can't carry around from one place to another, but you can carry it around in Anki app. Remember, the magic of Anki app is that it fits into our idea of how we learn anything. We pay attention, we make it meaningful, and we recall it. And it's by recalling it that we keep it into our long-term memory. Now, there's plenty of other videos on my YouTube channel that explain the rest of this idea, how you pay attention so that things go in, how you make things meaningful so you stand a chance of being able to remember them, and other methods that can be used in recall practice. But Anki app is by far and away the easiest way to do the recall practice part. So if you look wherever it is that you get apps from, there are multiple versions of Anki app. This is the one I use, and the reason I use it is it's the one with the most intuitive interface. It's the least amount of fuss and the most amount of results. So the one with the little orange arrows is the way I always describe it to my tutees. It's the best. It's free. It's the one I use. Okay, so I tend to keep my definitions in Google Sheets just because it's easy to share with people. It doesn't get lost. Everybody can edit it at the same time. It's just a really convenient way of sharing information with people. So this is just some definitions from the second year ecology module, and it says at the top, copy of ecology up to the nitrogen cycle. So it's got the ecosystem definitions, the idea about how energy flows through ecosystems, and the nitrogen cycle in it. So if you look at the way this is set up then, so the left-hand column says front of card, that's going to be the word that you're trying to define. The middle column says back of card, that's going to be the definition, and some of them are more complicated than others. And then the third column says tag. Now they're really useful because when you import the data into Anki app, you can use the tags to sort the cards. So for example, if I just wanted to revise the nitrogen cycle without the rest of this material, I can just set the tag to the nitrogen cycle, and then it will only ask me questions about the nitrogen cycle. Now this is really, really useful when you built up quite a big glossary, because you can have all the data in one place, all on one Anki app, but you can decide which particular topic you want to revise at once, and Anki app will keep a record of your performance under individual tags as well as from the whole stack, but we'll get back to that when we get back to it. Okay, so we want to go from here into Anki app, and it's a kind of a two-step process. You need to export the data in the right format, and then you need to import it into Anki app. So if I just show you how to export the data in the right format, it sounds hideous, but it's pretty simple. So you go to File, and then you go to Download, and then the format that you want is a comma-separated values file. And there's it done. Okay, so I'll get that and I'll import it into Anki app, and I'll show what you do with that next. Looks like this. Obviously this one's got some some decks in it already, but I'm going to show you how to import a deck and then how to go about sort of like learning what's on the deck. So if we just start with how you import a deck, it actually starts with create. So if you click on the create button, and then what you want to do is import a deck, and there it is, and then you want to choose the right file. Now the options at the top are, it can be an Anki app file, a comma separated values file, which is what we created, or an APKG file. I can't even remember what they are, I've never used them. So we want the comma separated values file. And there's that structure we were talking about before. Look, there's the column structure. First column is the text on the front of the card. Second column is the text on the back of the card. Third column is the tags, and you separate them with commas if you want multiple tags. Now there are other options here, which is that you can put images and audio files, which is, it's a little bit more effort to make it work, but it's not actually that difficult. But I'm not going to show you how to do it. You can work it out for yourself. So choose your file. There she blows. Done. Last thing you've got to do is give it a name. Now, for some bizarre reason, you've got to go down there. Look at that. That's really easy to move away from. If you move away from this page, it just doesn't save it. So you've got to give it a name. So I'm going to call it Ecosystems, Energy, and the End Cycle. And I even spelt some of that right. Press Begin Import, done. And here it is. So this is what each stack looks like, each deck, sorry, looks like when you look at them. And there are options for how you go about learning it, and they're down here. So we'll just go through those. So I can do the tags thing. Look, I can just have the nitrogen cycle cards. There they are, just the nitrogen cycle. Or I can go back to the full deck. There we go. Let's do that. I can say how many cards I want to be tested on every time I do it, and you can see there's quite a lot of options. You can change the font size. There's a nice little thing down here, which is how you review it. Now, the magic sauce of Anki app is this bit. It's the way that it intelligently selects cards. So if you get it wrong, it asks you again. If you get it right, it does ask you again, but not for weeks. So you can move away from this advanced SRS mode, but I really wouldn't recommend you do, because you're kind of losing the whole point of using the Anki app in the first place, which is that it does that spaced repetition thing brilliantly. So you can go through the rest of the options here in your own time. I'm going to stop wintering now. Anyway, right. So so if I want to review it then, so here we go then. So it's asking me what an abiotic factor is. So I'm going to say an abiotic factor is a non-living factor in the environment that controls the population of a species. And I've got a non-living condition in a habitat which controls the abundance and distribution of an organism. The most important factors are light levels, temperature, water availability, oxygen availability, and soil. Now I got some of that right and I got some of it wrong, so I'm going to ask it to ask me again. So I'm not going to say I failed it, in which case it would ask me the next time I looked. I'm going to say it's hard because there's stuff in there that I've forgotten. Fertilizer. So I'd say fertilizer tends to be ammonia compounds or ammonium nitrate produced by the Haber process, and it's a major part of intensive agriculture where we're trying to maximize energy flow through ecosystems by removing limiting factors. What have we got? Inorganic fertilizer, a mixture of ammonium nitrate, ammonium phosphate, and potassium nitrate. I'm going to say good, but there is some stuff in there I might want to add in. And you just keep going like that until you've gone through the number of cards you asked for. So predation, I'm going to say, is one organism eating another when it's a biological interaction. And then it says, that's fair enough, but they want the idea that herbivory and parasitism are kind of very similar. So I'm going to say good. A fungicide is a chemical that specifically or selectively kills fungi and is again important in intensive agriculture to reduce parasitism and disease from the crop. There we go, that was easy. Intensive livestock rearing is a method in intensive agriculture where you're trying to maximize the transfer of energy from the feed to the livestock. And the general methods are to stop the animal from moving around too much, because that will involve a respiration loss, to keep the animal close to its body temperature, because that would involve a respiration loss, to keep it free of parasites and to keep it free of predators and competitors. Yeah, and I'm saying that's pretty much spot on, so I'm saying that one was easy. I know that one. I probably don't need to do it again for quite a while. Parasitism is an interaction between organisms where one profits off the other. They tend not to kill them, they tend to live inside them, and it's kind of like getting eaten from the inside by a predator. There we are, that's pretty good as well. So I'm going to say that's easy. And then competition is an interaction between two organisms where both parties lose because they diminish some resource that they both need. Yep, and then there's some additional sort of examples that I might want to use. So I'm going to say good for that one. Nitrogen fixing bacteria, goodness me, how many more of these I've got to do. Nitrogen fixing bacteria are bacteria that convert atmospheric nitrogen into ammonia compounds. There are two important genuses, genera is the proper word, Rhizobium and Azotobacter, and Rhizobium lives in symbiosis with legumes in their root nodules, and Azotobacter is free living in the soil. Absolutely monstered that one, so that was easy. Nitrate ions, NO3-, the soluble form of nitrogen taken up by plant roots. Biomass, the mass of an organism per area per unit time usually is what the units are. I forgot the dry mass thing, so I'm going to say hard. I need to get that right. There we go. So I've done it. It's told me which ones I've found easy, which ones I've found good, which ones I've found hard, and which ones I've found fail. And the hard ones it will ask me about more regularly. The easy ones it'll hardly ask me about again at all. Okay, so that is the magic of Anki app. It tests you on what you get wrong, not what you get right. Okay, that'll do. That's enough of that.